So with the recent unveiling of CD Projekt Red's next project, Cyberpunk 2077, at this year's E3, I actually was just reminded of Ciri actually alluding and talking about Night City as being one of the places that she had traveled to while she was escaping from Eridan and the Wild Hunt. And kind of watching this scene between Ciri and Geralt talk about it a little bit, I think, to me, has to be the coolest Easter egg I've ever seen. Just her alluding to this place that we haven't really even seen before. We haven't even seen yet, and she's just describing it, and it's like making your mind kind of run rampant with just the possibilities of what that game could be like, because it was back then in 2015, right? Like the kind of, not the first like new information, well, I guess so, it was like the first new information that we got in like 3 or 4 years from the initial reveal trailer. So it was like a really cool moment when it hit me that, oh crap, she's talking about Cyberpunk 2077. So yeah, I guess this video I just wanted to talk about this a little bit, Ciri and her connection to Cyberpunk. What is that gonna mean? What is she gonna do there? All that sort of stuff. Yeah, this is probably gonna be me just rambling, but yeah, I wanna talk about this. So we know that Ciri is, the lady of space and time, the child of the Elder Blood, and because of her blood, she is able to kind of bounce between different planes and realms, right? She's able to travel between different worlds. In the past, in the books and in the games, her kind of plane jumping was to escape from Eridan's reach, right? In the books, it was literally like her having to jump through plane after plane after plane just to get away from Eridan, because he was just always right on her tail. Like, it just felt like it was a constant thing for her to never be in one place for too long. So while she's kind of on the run from the Wild Hunt, she traveled to these very disgusting and messed up places. But by the end of the saga, she does eventually find a place where she can settle down for a little bit. She meets this man named Galahad, and they kind of ride off into the sunset. And she settles down for a little bit until I suppose this kind of leads into The Witcher 3. I suppose Eridan was eventually able to find that plane that she hid herself in, and then she's just right back on the run again, and that's kind of where we meet her in Witcher 3, right? And then obviously she meets up with Avallac'h, and again, though they travel again between plane after plane after plane to get away from Eridan. So then the interesting part is that when she meets up with Avallac'h, during, I guess, her second time on the run, one of the planes that she travels to is the world of Cyberpunk 2077, Night City. She tells Geralt that it was for some reason this was a place that even Eridan couldn't get to, which that's kind of like a funny image, right? Could you imagine Eridan walking through the streets of like this? Like, could you imagine Eridan in a train like this, or just walking amongst people with mohawks and like just here with his horse and stuff like that? Like, I can't imagine that. But yeah, she says that it was a place that Eridan couldn't find her, and she was there for 6 months, half a year. So one little question I had, or just something I'm really curious about, is when we actually play Cyberpunk 2077 and we get that inevitable Ciri cameo, is this going to be, when we do see her, is this going to be within that time period of 6 months that she was in Night City hiding from Eridan? Or is this going to be, or is she going to return to Night City after Eridan is already dealt with? So I'm interested to see. I hope that made sense, but I'm interested to see, like, timeline wise, where when are we going to meet her? Is it going to be that 6 month period that she initially hid in Night City, or is it going to be, or is it going to take place after the events of Wild Hunt, I think will be really interesting to see, because she does say when she's talking to Geralt that she wishes that she could have stayed there. So I think that definitely applies, that she liked it. But yeah, I think it's interesting that she says she wished she could have stayed there. The only reason that she left in the first place, because I mean, that does beg the question, you know, if she was safe in Night City and Eridan, you know, couldn't catch her there, couldn't find her once she escaped to Night City, why would she leave? But then, you know, she does tell Geralt that the only reason why she left was because she wanted to find Geralt and Yennefer, which, you know, warms my heart, you know. I love that. But yeah, man, I thought that was really interesting. You know, the fact that it was a place that she wished she could have stayed. So for me personally, I think it would be, I would prefer if it's if you're meeting Ciri in a timeline that takes place after the Wild Hunt. So I don't know, I feel like it would be just a much more laid back, carefree Ciri, because she doesn't have, you know, the Wild Hunt on her tail anymore. She's already met up with Geralt and Yennefer, so I feel like she would be like at her most happiest, right? So it would feel like almost like a vacation where she doesn't have to worry about anything. So I don't know, I think that would be kind of cool to see. And then just to see her, you know, after the events of Wild Hunt. Maybe there will be some throwaway lines of, you know, what she's been up to during that time period. Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, I think I would like that a little bit better than seeing her during that 6-month period that she was hiding in Night City. But then again, when you think about it, it would be really interesting to meet up with her during, like, let's say her first, like, initial days in Night City, because, you know, this is a completely new world to her. This is something that she's never seen before. So just to kind of see her, like, you know, like a wide-eyed child, right? Just like her head on a swivel, everything taking her by surprise. When I think about it, I actually think that would be really cool, just to see the look on her eyes as she's just looking at, you know, the flying ships that she describes it, and she sees, you know, people with metal in their heads for the first time, and things like that. Now that I think about it, I actually think that would be a lot more interesting. Either way, I think it's fine, but yeah, man, that would be really, really cool. And just kind of like getting to see her like fit in with, you know, like the people in Night City. You know, buying clothes there for the first time, having to get money. I don't know, man. I think that really opens up some really cool possibilities. So in terms of like what she's going to be doing, you know, if she's in the game at all, of course, these are all assumptions. I'm going to try to keep it like as realistic as possible, because I don't think that Ciri is going to be, you know, this major character, in the story. I don't think she's gonna have, you know, major weight to the narrative or anything like that. I think at the most, if we're lucky, we're gonna get like a side quest with her, if, you know, if we're lucky. I think what I would expect, I think it's just gonna be like a little Easter egg that you see her walking on the street, and I don't know, she mentions Geralt and Yennefer or something like that. That's my expectation. I'm really keeping it low, but that's what I think is gonna happen. That it's just gonna be a small Easter egg. I don't expect it, but I would love to have, you know, just like one little side quest with her. I think would be awesome. And what would be even crazier, and there's no way this would ever happen, but what if the Easter egg is Ciri bringing both Geralt and Yennefer to Night City? Like, how insane would that be? I would just really appreciate that, because, you know, The Witcher, you know, I mean, The Witcher's done. For all we know, it's done, right? The trilogy concluded with Wild Hunt. That's probably the last time we're gonna see Geralt and Yennefer for who knows how long. But I think it would be really, really awesome just to get a little check in on how those three specifically are doing. just to have grumpy Geralt walking the streets with Ciri, just complaining about everything, and Ciri just being like, it's okay, or something like that. I don't know. That would be awesome. Again, I'm almost like 99% sure that's not gonna happen, but it would be really cool, especially since Geralt hates portals, and definitely him traveling to another world would be like too much for him, right? It would be way too much for him. I think Yennefer would be okay with it, but for Geralt, no, that would be too much. And another really big question I have is like, how would the world of Night City react to her, right? Um, I'm just an example, but like in Ghost in the Shell, for instance, mainly everybody has some sort of cybernetic prosthetics or cybernetic enhancements, right? Um, Mostly everybody. So I'm really curious, like how would the people react to seeing someone like Ciri, who is 100%, human? She doesn't have any enhancements, she doesn't have any prosthetics, anything like that. I would imagine in Night City that yeah, there are people who are fully 100% human, but yeah, I don't know. And then also just like how they react to seeing her with a sword on her hip, like I don't know, man. It's really really interesting just thinking about all of this. Yeah, man, gets me so excited. And I know this game is probably like 2 years away, man, but it's so fun thinking about all of this. So yeah, that's gonna do it for the video. Just a fun little discussion I wanted to have. Since Cyberpunk is probably one of my most anticipated games like ever. It's like combining one of my favorite game studios in CD Projekt Red with like one of my favorite aesthetics in Cyberpunk. Um, oh man, it's just like a match made in heaven. And then just like the idea of Ciri possibly walking around in that world, it really excites me. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.